purpose of this video is to present an exciting and rapidly evolving time in science fiction comic books from 1949 to 1953. This was during the golden age of comic books, which was from 1938 to 1956. Shown are 5 comic book titles from 5 publishers on a chronological series of comic book covers that switches back and forth between titles. This approach enables the viewer to see which titles were more dominant as time moved forward and if there was any evolution in the appearance of specific titles. For example, Planet Comics dominated in the beginning as it first started publication before the other titles, long before in 1940. As the covers go by, lots of fascinating information is provided, but is not intended to correspond to the specific cover being shown. After watching the covers, the viewer is encouraged to comment as to a favorite title and why. The 5 titles in alphabetical order and their publishers are as follows. Journey into Unknown Worlds, published by Atlas Comics, a predecessor of Marvel Comics. Mystery in Space, published by DC Comics. Planet Comics, published by Fiction House. Strange Worlds, published by Avon Comics. And Weird Science, published by EC Comics. The only title published during the entire time period of 1949 to 1953 was Planet Comics, which also ended publication in 1953. One title, Journey into Unknown Worlds, changed during this time period from science fiction to horror, and only the science fiction covers are presented. Information about each title and its publisher will be provided. Planet Comics was the first comic book dedicated entirely to science fiction. It featured lots of great art and fascinating stories about many characters. Like most of Fiction House's early comic book titles, Planet Comics was a spin-off of a pulp magazine, in this case, Planet Stories. Planet Comics features space operatic tales of muscular, heroic space adventurers who are quick with their ray pistols and always running into gorgeous women who need rescuing from bug-eyed space aliens or fiendish interstellar bad guys. However, plenty of covers and stories do feature female heroes. Planet Comics also employed female artists, including Lily Renee, Marcia Snyder, Ruth Atkinson, and Fran Hopper. Planet Comics was published from January 1940 to winter 1953 for 73 issues, and the art style evolved and became much more sophisticated looking over time. Fiction House also published other genres, including Jungle Girls, war, and horror. Fiction House was an American publisher of pulp magazines and comic books that existed from the 1920s to the 1950s. It was founded by John B. Jack Kelly and John W. Glenister. By the late 1930s, the publisher was Thurman T. Scott. Its comics division was best known for its pin-up style good girl art, as epitomized by the company's most popular character, Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. Fiction House entered the comic book field when Scott published Jumbo Comics #1 in 1938 under the company's Real Adventures Publishing Company imprint. Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, appeared in that initial issue, soon becoming the company's star character. Jumbo proved a hit, and Fiction House would go on to publish Jungle Comics, the aviation-themed Wings Comics, the science fiction title Planet Comics, Rangers Comics, and Fight Comics, starting by the early 1940s. Most of these series taking their titles and themes from the Fiction House pulps. Fiction House referred to these titles in its regular house ads as the Big Six, but the company also published several other titles, among them the Western-themed Indians and Firehair, jungle titles Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, and Wambi, and 5 issues of Eisner's The Spirit. Weird Science was published by EC Comics. Weird Science ran for 22 issues from 1950 to 1953. Some issues had problems with the issue numbering, resulting in the series starting with issue number 12 and the 5th issue starting the numbering at issue number 1. EC Comics, also known as Entertaining Comics or as EC, was an American publisher of comic books which specialized in horror fiction, crime fiction, satire, military fiction, dark fantasy, and science fiction from the 1940s to the 1950s. Initially, EC was owned by Maxwell Gaines and specialized in educational and child-oriented stories. Max Gaines had been one of the pioneers of the comic book form, with Eastern Color Printing's proto-comic book Funnies on Parade, and with Dell Publishing's Famous Funnies, A Carnival of Comics, considered by historians the first true American comic book. After Max Gaines' death in a boating accident in 1947, his son William Gaines took over the company and began to print more mature stories. These stories were also unique in their socially conscious, progressive themes, including racial equality, anti-war advocacy, nuclear disarmament, and environmentalism. In the mid-1950s, censorship pressures prompted it to concentrate on the humor magazine Mad, leading to the company's greatest and most enduring success. Consequently, by 1956, the company ceased publishing all of its comic lines except Mad. Cover artists included Harvey Kurtzman, Harry Harrison, Al Feldstein, Jack Kamen, Wally Wood, Graham Ingalls, Bart Kamen, George Roussos, George Oleson, Joe Orlando, Bill Elder, Sid Check, Al Williamson, Roy Krenkel, Frank Frazetta, George Evans, Max Elkin, John Severin, Reed Crandall, Bernie Kreitzen, and Jack Davis. Writers included Bill Gaines, Al Feldstein, Gardner Fox, Harvey Kurtzman, Harry Harrison, Wally Wood, and Jack Olick. Additionally, several stories were official adaptations of Ray Bradbury stories. Gaines waged a number of battles with the Comics Code Authority in an attempt to keep free from censorship. An example was when Gaines threatened Judge Charles Murphy, the Comics Code Administrator, with a lawsuit when Murphy ordered EC to alter the science fiction story Judgment Day in Incredible Science Fiction number 33, cover dated February 1956. The story was a reprint from the pre-code Weird Fantasy number 18 in 1953, and it was objected to because of the central character being black. The story depicted a human astronaut, a representative of the Galactic Republic, visiting the planet Cybrenia, inhabited by robots. He finds the robots divided into functionally identical orange and blue races, one of which has fewer rights and privileges than the other. The astronaut determines that due to the robots' bigotry, the Galactic Republic should not admit the planet until these problems are resolved. In the final panel, he removes his helmet, revealing himself to be a black man, and the instrument lights made the beads of perspiration on his dark skin twinkle like distant stars. Murphy demanded, without any authority in the code, that the black man had to be removed. After Gaines objected, Murphy finally said they had to take the sweat off. EC ran the story in its original form, and this was the last EC comic book to be published. Mystery in Space is the name of two science fiction American comic book series published by DC Comics, and of a standalone Vertigo anthology released in 2012. The first series ran for 110 issues from 1951 to 1966, with a further 7 issues continuing the numbering during a 1980s revival of the series. An 8-issue limited series began in 2006. Together with Strange Adventures, Mystery in Space was one of DC Comics' major science fiction anthology titles. It won a number of awards, including the 1962 Alley Award for Best Book-Length Story and the 1963 Alley Award for Comic displaying Best Interior Color Work. DC Comics can trace its origin back to Malcolm Wheeler Nicholson founding National Allied Publications in 1935 to publish comic books. It is the home of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and many other superheroes, as well as non-superhero genres. Journey into Unknown Worlds was published by Atlas Comics, a predecessor of Marvel Comics. It started off with science fiction and then switched to horror. Marvel Comics started off as Timely Comics in 1939 with Martin Goodman as its publisher. It is the home of Captain America, the Fantastic Four, and the Avengers, and many other superheroes as well as non-superhero genres. Strange Worlds was published by Avon Comics for 15 issues from 1950 to 1955. Avon Comics was a relatively small publisher of comic books, but did feature entertaining art such as that by Wally Wood, Joe Kubert, and more. Avon Comics published multiple genres and was founded in 1941 by American News Company. After watching the covers in this video, do you have a favorite title and why? More videos like this one, short and longer, can be viewed at the Comic Excitement Convention Science Fiction playlist. Please like, comment, subscribe, and click the notifications bell.